Guys, deluded, I'm back again. YouTube's and Golo Kante and all of them things. Not to go over the same repeated and retarded subjects over and over and over again. It gets repetitive, it gets tiring. Those of you who know, if you followed the World Cup, you know very well the publicised story in regards to Mesut Ozil and the German national team. In fact, you even know about the abuse some other players that are still playing have suffered. Been there, done that. Long story short, Ozil's not playing for them. We know Ozil gave specific examples in regards to people behind the scenes. He never got at the players. He never got at the manager. He got at people behind the scenes and gave specific examples of when he's felt on the receiving end of racism, or that the fact that he's of Turkish descent has been brought to light. He spoke about far rights and things. He never directly said anybody within the national team set up directly in regards to the playing and coaching staff did anything racist or did anything to make a negative atmosphere. That's why I get quite annoyed, not even peed off. It's not even annoyed, it's funny how people deliberately want to be obtuse. You've seen Jurgi Low, which I was surprised he's completely playing obtuse, saying he's never felt any racism, basically saying Ozil's making up in his head. Tony Kroos has basically said the same thing. Nua said the same thing. Muller said the same thing, and I can't lie, this video is a lot of it's come out of Mertesacker saying the same thing, a man that wasn't even there. It's people being deliberately obtuse, and I'm again, not to make it a thing about certain things, but when you look a certain, how can you look a certain way and then get at him? Ozil clearly does not look like the typical German citizen or the national German citizen. So you can see why he's a target of far right, not just in Germany, but in a lot of countries with a lot of people. In regards to foreigners or people of foreign descent, you see it with Switzerland. You see in repeated comments about a foreign player shouldn't be vice captain in Granit Xhaka, and that he shouldn't have too many players of foreign descent because it messes up the purity of the team. You see this all the time. There was some rumours about that in Denmark as well. I'm tired of these players that, for obvious reasons, do not experience. They probably have dealt with racism in other examples, but in regards to this, deliberately being obtuse because they don't see it. It's nonsense. I mean, it's completely different, but it's like it's like a middle-aged white male in the 1930s or whatever in the deep south saying he's never experienced racism, so it doesn't exist. That sounds as stupid as it does with Mertesacker and the rest of them. Okay, if you think Ozil's saying something or you didn't directly hear anything, fair enough. But to deliberately be obtuse, to deliberately behave obtuse, to disregard it and behave like Ozil's making this up in his own head is nonsense. And for me, what really annoys me, away from just deliberately being obtuse, these are intelligent men that have got qualifications away from football, so I know they're being obtuse. In fact, Muller's just an idiot, but the rest, you get what I'm saying, innit? They just it's really annoying how they're being deliberately obtuse and they're twisting his words. He never said anything about the national side or regards to anyone connected. He got at the federation. So to behave like he's making it up and things like that. And to be honest, the lack of support from players that are on the receiving end of it did bottle it as well. Not to dig out anyone, but Sane, for example, Boateng could have spoke about it. Again, it's easy for me to sit here and say they should have spoken about it, but they really should have. That's just my opinion. Why I believe everybody, whether it's the likes of Mertesacker's not involved anymore, but Tony Kroos, Muller, Lowe, why they're saying these sort of things is because they're scared. Everybody in life is self-serving. These guys still want opportunities. These guys still want to be involved in the national team setup. They say certain things might happen behind the scenes. It's like Sane. Sane's probably been on the receiving end of racism, no doubt. He didn't go to the World Cup. Not that has anything to do with it. He wasn't playing well. He had the chance to. Ozil's a good friend of his. He had the chance to speak up. And I'm not saying you have to condemn and name and shame people, but you can admit that this could possibly be happening. He more or less said he don't know about it. Again, I don't agree with his reaction, but I understand it. You want to get back in the national setup. If you say certain things, you might get blacklisted or blackballed in this thing. It makes sense, but it's just. It's not even upsetting. It's quite tiring. Like, it's quite tiring. I mean, Gundogan the other day, in fact yesterday, Gundogan was booed. Gundogan was booed playing against France. Are you gonna when he came off when he was being substituted or whatever? Is Muller gonna say because he never got booed, he never heard it? I mean, it's nonsense. Like, it took bravery to, regardless of what you think about Ozil. And when I do videos like this, you get them typical virgins that are angry with just purely having sex with their hand and vent their frustrations in the comments. But it took bravery, regardless of what you think about Mesut Ozil. It took bravery to condemn this. It took bravery to come out, and no doubt he's had to bottle this up for many a time. Um, Gundogan, I felt you could have spoken about it as well, but it just things like this just highlight how self-serving people are. To be fair with, even if it directly affects them, they won't speak on it. It's quite it's really annoying me. And like I said, Mertesacker was the straw that broke the camel's back. It's mean that I'm not saying you need to agree with him just purely because you know him, but the lack of support. Maybe you are backing him behind the scenes, and the game is the game. You have to say certain things because of the industry you're in, but it's shocking, man. And I mean, Tony Kroos is doing a lot, to be honest. He's talking a lot, man. He's talking about Sane's body language and all this nonsense. But yeah, man, that's all I wanted to say, man. It is quite jarring that these individuals are coming and trying to basically belittle Ozil's experiences. And I'd love to know what the likes of Sane, Rudiger, all of them sort of guys, what they think about this, or because they're in a difficult position. Because of course they want to keep playing for the German national team, but I no doubt these guys have been on the receiving end. In fact, Rudiger knows damn well, because it might not have been in Germany, but in Italy, people were saying you even saw a certain commentator try and use Rudiger as an example as to why black players are good physically and have physical attributes, but they can't focus for long periods of time. It's what a world we live in, where people make mad connotations and stereotypes based on whether you have more or less pigment in your skin, or you're of a different descent, rather than judging men and women on their principles and what they stand for, and whether if they're a good person, white, black, brown, whatever. If they're a good person, they're a good person, and if they're a scumbag, white, black, or brown, they're a scumbag, not because of their color, just because of who they are as a person. But this is the world we live in. Sadly, humans will always want to pit one another against each other. It's human nature to want to feel better than your fellow man, and things like this. This is why you see many nations being quite racist to each other, and then you have many nations where they have different tribes and different walks of people. They're pitting themselves against each other. It's crazy, but human nature just repeats itself and manifests into this sort of stuff, and it will never end. It's sad, but it is what it is, man. Guys, deluded, get in the comments, subscribe, and do the rest if you wish. I'm out.